Young white women are having an identity crisis.
Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. If you're visiting my channel for the very first time, thank you so much. Please don't forget to join this family by subscribing. To my returning subscribers, you guys are amazing. I love you so much. I guess we are all fine. So in today's video is about this lady who wanted to know why palm colored people are having identity crisis. This issue has been bothering people for a long time. So identity crisis happen at a time when some changes makes you reevaluate who you are. Mostly it's at a stage of adolescent because they are trying to discover who they are as they mature. So guys, let's jump into the video and hear what this woman was talking about.
I think young white women are having an identity crisis for a couple of reasons. It just doesn't make sense that every 14 working days or so, there's a new aesthetic that has a name, a term, a look, a vibe around it, but no personality. And I say this because I just watched Mandy Lee, who's like hands down my favorite TikTok fashion trend analysis, all that kind of stuff. Her talking about how previous subcultures as well as aesthetics were named after they had a vibe and personality. That's the main key thing, personality attached to it. When I studied media in college, we looked at how the media treated British subcultures. So whether that was the teddy boys, mods, the skinhead, they had their names after they had personality, after they had social and political views aligned with each other. But it wasn't just this name attached to this pretty aesthetic look. While I'm saying it's, young white women, and it might seem like I'm putting distance between myself and the aesthetic, anyone can get caught up in it, literally. The reason I say young white women is because we know this app loves beauty, this app loves desirability, and unfortunately, the people who are positioned at the very top of that totem pole are young white women. Clean girl aesthetic, quiet luxury, cold girl winter, like all of these things are driven and led by white women. And then what it means is it's going to drive our consumerism, it's going to drive capitalism, make us want to acquire all these products for this look that doesn't have a statement, doesn't have a personality attached to it. I say this with love, but I do think it's time for everybody to get back to having a personality of their own. We need to stop trying to chase these aesthetics that we think then reflect our socioeconomic value. They don't.
Now, before we jump into the stitches from different people, that was the video that made noise about identity crisis on the internet. So don't forget to tell me what you think in the comment section about this conversation. And at the end of the video, I will leave my comment, so don't go away.
I think young white women are having an identity crisis for a couple of reasons.
Because the status in being white and whiteness as a beauty standard is waning quickly. It's because after decades of having children, biracial and multiracial children with men of color, predominantly Black and Hispanic men, the children, particularly the daughters that have come from those unions, are very quickly being put on the pedestal as the primary beauty standard for everyone to meet. And so now blonde hair and blue eyes is becoming less the standard, and it's more and more naturally tan skin with a light splattering of freckles, very thick, voluminous, curly hair, green, gray, or hazel eyes, the pedestaled multiracial, biracial baddie aesthetic. There was a time when white women knew that they were the standard and that whiteness was enough, and they would regale us with tales of how many different types of white they were mixed with. Oh, I'm French, Dutch, a little bit of Portuguese, and some Scottish. You remember those days when white women would tell you how many different types of white they were? But now everybody has a native, a Black, a Hispanic, maybe even an Arab parent or great-grandparent somewhere in the woodwork. Because whiteness alone simply doesn't hold the weight that it used to when it comes to beauty standards, they now have to create things like clean girl aesthetic and office siren and a mob wife aesthetic in order to exotify whiteness again.
young white women are having an identity crisis.
I like that video. You should go watch it. It made me think about a video I made a couple months ago where I was basically talking about how white American culture is consumption and capitalism. People who weren't initially white, who became white over the course of American history, I think essentially traded in their respective cultures for the ability to consume and capital and the things that they needed to be consumers, because that is whiteness. And right now capitalism is in crisis, and I think that people whose identities are wrapped up in their ability to participate in capitalism are like frantically trying to like figure out what they will be upon its like collapse.
I think young white women are having an identity crisis for a couple of reasons.
I honestly blame personal development books. I do. I blame them. I'm going to tell you why. Because when personal development books hit the scene and everybody was reading all these books, including myself, on how to do this, how to do that, how to be this kind of person, how to dress like this, yada, yada, yada. What ended up happening was people got lazy about their own personal development, and it really took away, I think, people's individual creative endeavors. Like, when I think back to high school and college, I think about a bunch of people who all had a unique aspect about them. Like, nobody, like there was no collective sort of vibe about everybody. Everybody was just very unique, very individualistic. I don't feel like there was like much of this aesthetic thing, like, oh, we're doing mob wives, we're doing it girls. Everybody just did what they wanted to do, wore what they wanted to wear, said what they wanted to say, thought how they wanted to think, and there was no pressure coming from any singular source to say, hey, you should be doing this because they're doing it. And I feel like once we got into the personal development like phase of like, hey, let's have these people teach you how to be a person, it was very easy to transition over into like aesthetic culture. And it's really not even just about white women. It's about white women, Gen Z, whatever. Like, everybody is falling victim to it, i.e. black girl luxury. I think everybody is falling victim to this sort of like aesthetic thing. But I think the problem is people just want to be told what to do, what to think, and how to act. Nobody is trying to be themselves. And also, when I think about influencers as well, at one point in time, people used to be influencers as like a side gig or an extension of who they were outside of their own personal lives, right? So it was like they had jobs, they had, hobbies, and then they would just show us their life. But then, because they started to make more money, they took away their life, and then it became, oh shit, now I have to curate something for these people to watch. So now I'm going to become something and create this identity and keep doing this because I'm the focal point now. And now my job and the way that I present to the world has to be interesting. It has to be, how do I do that? Because the focus then became, it's not about who I really am and what I really like and what I really want to do. It's about what's going to get me the most views, who's going to watch this, what's going to be the thing that goes viral. They took away the uniqueness of who they were. But I feel like everybody falls victim to it once or another. I've fallen victim to aesthetic culture. I don't personally read personal development books anymore. Like, don't even recommend me one. I will throw it in the trash. I think it honestly was the worst thing to ever happen to me. Even down to like YouTube videos where they do the whole like, let me show you how to like level up, like those types of fucking annoying videos. Yeah, I blame personal development culture.
I think young white women are having an identity crisis for a couple of reasons.
I agree with everything this content creator just said, but also as a 36-year-old woman, I have seen white women solely only have to be white. 90s, all they had to do was be blonde with big breasts and be white. Just be blonde, tall, and white. What do we hear them say now currently? It's not cool to be white. Instagram first started to gain popularity amongst young people in 2013, 2011, excuse me, not 2010, 2012, 2013, there was a stark difference between white women, black women, and POC women. You can go back and Google that. You could see the difference. Girls were very all-American, Hollister, Abercrombie and Fitch, and black girls are what they're coring and aestheticing now. Clean girl, whatever else they come up with. For so long, white women have yielded the power of the people around them because they have no internal power of their own. They need someone to define womanhood for them at all times. Hence the patriarchy. Instead of doing the actual work and figuring out who they are as a collective, instead of pink pussy wearing hat hypocrites, they don't want to do the work. They just want to yield the power of people around them once again. Hence appropriation. One of the number one markers of white supremacy is identity theft. They're just doing what they've always done. Head, core, and aesthetic everything. And this goes for everyone, not just white women. Your daily lives determine your aesthetic. Your environment determines what you look like. I'm not going to walk around talk about farmer core, and I don't live on a damn farm. Like she said in the video, they gain their names by the environment and the culture engaging in said aesthetic for whatever reason it's developed, whether that's farming, around the way girls, or cottage core, which is just country. So for once in white women's lives, they have to look in the mirror and gain a personality. You know what I mean? Because for so long, this was the personality. What happened, girlfriend? Sister friend? And everyone, black women are not your personality.
So identity crisis is an issue which needs to be talked about every day. Having hobbies and interests is so important, just like having a personality. Whenever life is not easy, you have these hobbies to fall back on or bring you back to life. And having these interests did really contribute a lot of one's personality. It allows you not to be easily influenced by the outside things. So when you have no identity, you'll be easily influenced because you have no hobbies, no interest, like nothing or everything go rock your world. Everyone needs to have their own identity. The world is changing, so do the trades. And are you gonna change every day too? At the end of the day, you will be lost and lonely. So I love this video so much. It's sad trying to fit in every trade. That's gonna just go away in few weeks. So the content creator is challenging palm-colored women to have an identity. In conclusion, identity crisis advice is don't follow social media so much. It will mislead you. Just be who you are. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below and subscribing. For now, it's a bye. Take care.